Hello, this is the video for After Effects for Monday, August 24th. Hello,
Hey,
how's it going?
mm, good. It's Rodney.
Hey, that's a beautiful picture.
Oh, thank you.
Wow, I like it. Hi,
Eh,
how was your weekend?
It was good. I enjoyed it. It
Uh,
went by a little bit fast because
eh.
it's time that I work.
Oh no, having to work. Boo. That's
Yeah,
the
we
worst.
all need the income right now, though.
Yeah, oh yeah, I totally get that.
Uh,
It's a crazy time, huh?
a little bit, a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. How you doing, Spike? I won't be able to talk another 2 days without my voice. Okay, got it, Spike. No problem. I won't ask you any questions, but if you want to type any messages in here, we'll get them. Hello, Rachel. How are you?
I'm okay. How are you doing?
Good. Okay, let's see. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm going to the attendance tracking system, and I'll just go ahead and put in all the people who are here today, all the people who are here so far. Let's see. So, let's see. Jaden, let me see if Jaden's here. I don't think I see Jaden yet. Okay. So then we have Daniel. Oh, there's Jaden. It's just coming in now. All right. So there's Jaden. Let's see. Daniel. There's Daniel. Hi, Daniel.
How's it going, man?
Good. How are you?
I'm pretty good. Another day, man.
Yeah, exactly. We're still around, so that's a good thing, huh?
That's true.
Um, let's see. Joseph Coleman is Joey. Yep. So Joey, we got you. Sophia, I don't know if we're gonna see Sophia. Okay. Let's see. Spike, we see. Alex, we'll see. Alex is here. Luz is here. Um, let's see. Courtney.
Present.
Oh, you're here, Courtney? Yes, you are. Okay. Got you. And then we have Cece, which I don't see. And then we have Chris. Let's see. Chris is here. Kaleo, I thought I saw you earlier. Are you here, Kaleo? Yeah, you are. Okay. Jacob. Jacob. I've got a Jackson. I don't think that's a Jacob. Okay, Gabriel, Michael, you're here. Hello, sir. Let's see. I don't think I see Isaac. Nope.
I'm here.
Oh, you are here. Okay, great. Thank you. How you doing?
I'm good. Sorry, I'm on my cousin's account. I gotta switch out.
Oh, no, it's okay. Jackson, I saw. Rachel, I saw. Uriel.
Here.
Yeah, I see that. Thank you. We have Gabriel Ramos Tarazon. Yep, he's here.
Okay. Here.
Okay,
Morning.
gotcha. Thank you. Let's see, Laura. Laura. I think has a crappy internet connection, so maybe we'll see her popping in and out. Kevin. Kevin. I don't see Kevin. Rodney's here. Kim, I haven't seen yet. Renee Valenzuela. Oh, there's Isaac again. Renee. Oh, there's Renee.
I'm here.
Hi.
Hello.
Okay, we got an Abby. Let's see if Abby's here. La 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 la. Nope. And then we have Jonathan. John Young. Yep, Scooby.
Here.
Hello, Scooby.
Hey, how you doing?
I like your picture. That's pretty nice.
Thanks.
I remember you from what was it? Animation? What was the class you took?
Yeah, back in 2018.
Yeah. How you doing?
Good.
Good?
Hanging in there.
Yeah, like all of us, right?
Yo.
All right, let's see. And Laura just came in, so I'm gonna add her to the schedule here. Hello, Laura. Okay. All right, so I got a bunch of people in the class. If a few more people drop in, I'll go ahead and add them to the roll. But let me go out. Let me start by sharing my screen and going to the class website. So I'm gonna open this thing up, my browser, so we can see it kind of larger. Okay, and then go to the class website, which is going to be here, I guess. Yeah, I guess it is. And then go to the After Effects page. Okay, there we are. All right, now I can share my screen, which is Zoom, and share screen and share. Okay, there we go. So now I can open up my participants window and my chat, and we're good to go. Okay, so I hope you guys had a nice weekend. And you guys see that crazy wind on like Saturday night? You guys see that?
Oh my God,
Yeah.
the rain was crazy.
Wasn't that insane? Like, my mom had a couple of umbrellas that just took off, and Mary Poppins out of the yard kind of thing. So it was kind of cool though. I'm over in sort of Midtown, and we didn't really get the rain. We just got the wind. That was kind of nice because it cooled down a lot. But okay, so let me get started here. So the first thing I want to do is just kind of finalize our meeting schedule for when we come in physically, right? And I'll eventually send you guys this little calendar dealy here. But this is what we talked about last week. It's the schedule which tells which day everybody's coming in when we do come into the school physically. And so these are the lists I have right here. I'll try and make this a little bigger so you guys can see it easier. So these are the Monday people on the left and the Wednesday people on the right. And it has to be kind of an even amount. We want to split the class in half and meet half and half. So it's good right now. It's an even amount. Now, there may be some of you who are in class today that weren't in class last Wednesday, or that joined the class after it started. Maybe you didn't get on this list. So is there anybody out there who doesn't see their name on the list? Okay, so that's you, Gabriel, right? Yeah. Okay, let's see.
Also me, John Young.
If I can get with group 2, Wednesdays definitely work better for me if that's okay.
Okay, and let's see, Scooby, you're not on the list, right?
No, I'm not.
Can you be on Monday?
That's actually my preferred one, so yes.
Perfect. Okay, so this is going to be John, and then Gabriel, you want to be on Wednesday, right?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay, and was there anybody else? Okay, so that looks like that's going to be our list, and I will, like I said, I'll email that to you. It's going to have the calendar here that has all the days, and I have to look on my schedule and figure out whether we're a green week or a yellow week as far as like when you guys actually come in, and I'll send all that to you in an email. But let me just save this so we can do that later on. Okay, cool. All right, so the next thing to do is to talk about your ideas for this first project, which is a moving text project, also called kinetic text, which kinetic, of course, just means something that moves. And so what I wanted to do was go through my list of students, which I'll use this list right here, and see if you guys have had a chance to think of something. Maybe you wrote an idea down and put it in your Google Drive folder, or maybe you can just tell us your idea. But we'll go ahead and we'll talk about your ideas, and then when you tell us your idea, if anybody else in the class has an inspiration, they want to give you a suggestion, or maybe they have a question, we can go ahead and do that as well. So let me start with you, Daniel. Here, you're just at the top of the list. Do you have an idea for what you want to do for your moving text project?
Oh yeah, I actually do. I have this idea. I feel like a sketch of it. I don't know if you guys can see it. So it's gonna be like a biker on the back, and then kind of like a quote on the front going in, and then the quote is "Life is a journey. Enjoy the ride." So I think that's pretty much it. Just what I have in mind. I want to keep it simple, so I don't want to get too much into like details or anything.
Okay, so are you gonna animate that motorcycle?
I do. I was planning on animating on maybe do like a small um, how do you pronounce it? GIF or GIF?
Oh, it's you can actually pronounce it both ways, GIF or GIF.
Yeah, so I was planning to do a GIF and then do it on Procreate and then just like a biker kind of like rolling
Okay,
and then pulling out the After Effects the quote on After Effects and then doing all together kind of. So
okay, that sounds great. Um,
yeah.
okay,
So
yeah. So you're gonna animate it across the screen, and then you'll maybe have the words come in, "Life is a journey," and then "Enjoy the ride," kind of thing, right?
that's what I was planning to do. I don't know if it's gonna come out, just trying to play with it and then see what happens though.
Well, I mean, it's a great idea, and for your first project, it's good to keep it simple. And then, did you think about maybe having some audio, like some music back there?
Oh yeah, I was planning on some music also. I don't know what kind of music yet, but definitely adding some music also. So
Okay, all right, good. Well, we'll talk about music a little bit today too. All right,
sounds
that
good.
sounds good. Does anybody have any suggestions or ideas for Daniel? Um, Daniel, I have one idea, which is,
Yep.
you know, you show this guy or gal on the motorcycle just kind of going across the screen. Maybe in the background, you could show things that represent the different aspects of life that we all experience. Like maybe there could be a birth, or you ever hear that birth, work, school, death phrase? Which just kind of sums up life, right?
Yeah.
But you could have they could just be cruising by on their cycle, but you could have pictures in the background that kind of fade in and out of like high school or like college, and then like work, and like getting married, kids, and then retirement, and then the tombstone or whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so it's just an idea. I mean, when I give you guys suggestions, you can do whatever you want with them, but it's one way you could kind of spice that up a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. I try to add some things like that maybe on the background and stuff, and then see if it works. So thank you though.
Sounds
I don't
good.
know if you guys have heard of F is for Family on Netflix, but they do that kind of at the beginning, the theme song. It's a guy traveling through the sky and it goes from like birth to graduating to being in the military. So it might give you some inspiration to
Oh,
watch
that's a
that,
great
go
idea.
that route.
Yeah, thank you, Courtney.
Thank you.
All right, excellent. Okay, now Spike, I know you're not talking right now. Did you want to type anything in on the chat about your idea, or do you just want to wait until you can talk again? You were going to do the opening to the Binding of Isaac. I'm not incredibly familiar with that. Can you kind of explain what that is? Can I just send a video? Yeah, you want to just put it in the chat there? And I'll bring it up on my screen and play it for everybody. Okay, let me go ahead and bring this video up.
Isaac and his mother lived alone in a small house on a hill. Isaac kept to himself, drawing pictures and playing with his toys as his mom watched Christian broadcasts on the television. Life was simple, and they were both happy. That was until the day Isaac's mom heard a voice from above. Your son has become corrupted by sin. He needs to be saved. I will do my best to save him, my lord, Isaac's mother replied, rushing into Isaac's room, removing all that was evil from his life. Again, the voice called to her. Isaac's soul is still corrupt. He needs to be cut off from all that is evil in this world and confess his sins. I will follow your instructions, Lord. I have faith in thee, Isaac's mother replied, as she locked Isaac in his room, away from the evils of the world. One last time, Isaac's mom heard the voice of God calling to her. You've done as I've asked, but I still question your devotion to me. To prove your faith, I will ask one more thing of you. Yes, Lord, anything, Isaac's mother begged. To prove your love and devotion, I require a sacrifice. Your son, Isaac, will be this sacrifice. Go into his room and end his life as an offering to me to prove you love me above all else. Yes, Lord, she replied, grabbing a butcher's knife from the kitchen. Isaac, watching through a crack in his door, trembled in fear. Scrambling around his room to find a hiding place, he noticed a trap door to the basement hidden under his rug. Without hesitation, he flung open the hatch, just as his mother burst through his door and threw himself down into the unknown depths below.
Okay, that's great. I've never seen that before. So, what exactly we're gonna do with that, Spike? We're gonna try and recreate some of that in After Effects, or oh, okay. So, in other words, you were gonna play the audio and then move the words around, right? Okay. Hey, Daniel, do you see this? There's a suggestion, a song suggestion by Luz. She's suggesting you could play "Life Is a Highway" by Rascal Flatts as the music.
Oh, cool. Definitely. Yeah, I can see it. I never heard it before, so I'm gonna try to listen to it, and then yeah, I'll check it out.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks
Thank
for the
you.
suggestion, Luz. Okay, so Spike says, yeah, and each character would have different color and background become progressively darker. This sounds great. I love the cartoon beginning. It looks really great and funny. And I like your idea, Spike. I'm looking forward to seeing what you're going to do with that. So we'll talk to you a little bit more when you can speak again. Okay, great. So now let me go back to my next student, which is Alex. I don't actually, yeah, there we go. So Alex, do you have an idea for your moving text?
Yeah, wait, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, yeah, I was just gonna do the first 30 seconds of a song,
Okay,
and some of the lyrics have some cool words that I can play with to give like the text motion and animation and whatnot.
okay. And is this on a surprise, or can you tell us?
I mean, it's not really a surprise, but yeah, it's called Reality Surf.
And who
Um,
does it?
it's by Blade. I don't know if you've heard of them.
I haven't, but I assume that the lyrics are pretty cool, or you wouldn't be doing it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, that sounds great. And then so obviously you've got the music and the lyrics all from the song, and then you're just going to be animating those, right?
Yep.
Okay, cool. It sounds good. Yeah, and one of the things we'll look at today, there are these special things called preset animations that make it really easy to animate text, and I'm gonna show those to you guys. Okay, thank you, Alex. Let's see, Courtney, you're next on the list.
So I was thinking about doing a quote from the movie Harvey with James Stewart.
Okay. Let's see.
I sent a link for it. And I was gonna do like a picture of Tucson with the mountains and the city, like um, the basic picture that you usually see when you look up Tucson with mountains and city.
Okay.
For the first half of it, I was gonna zoom in on the city, and then at the end he says, "I prefer pleasant." I was gonna add a layer on top to where the mountains are still there, but the city kind of gets blurred out. And at the end, he says, "And you may quote me." And instead of typing that out as text, I was just going to like have a script of him writing his name as a quote type thing.
Okay, that sounds cool. Now, if we go to this video, are we going to be able to see the whole quote, or what's there?
Yeah, it's just the 30-second scene.
Okay, let's check it out.
Escape to Love Island.
Who's ready for a summer of love?
We're gonna have a great time.
Let's hang out, let's get married.
Love Island, new season tonight on CBS.
Good heavens, man, haven't you any righteous indignation?
Oh, doctor, you know, years ago, my mother used to say to me, she'd say, in this world, Elwood, you must be, she always called me Elwood. In this world, Elwood, you must be oh so smart or oh so pleasant. Well, for years I was smart. I recommend pleasant. You may quote me.
Okay, that's a great quote. Okay, cool. And then so you're gonna have that playing in the background, and then you're gonna animate the text of what he's saying.
Yep.
Okay, and then use Tucson, and then sort of blur the city out, and then have script like he's writing it, kind of thing.
Yeah, just for the "you may quote me" part, instead of typing "you may quote me," I'm gonna have it spell out like his name.
Great. Okay, cool. Well, it sounds great. And then is there going to be any audio sort of music soundtrack that goes with it, or?
I haven't decided yet.
Okay, all right. Yeah, it sounds great, and I like the quote. I don't. Have you seen that Harvey movie in a while? I haven't seen that in forever.
Yeah, I just watched it
Oh, okay.
a couple months ago.
Is that the one? You'll have to forgive me if I'm way off base here, but is that the one about the invisible rabbit, or am I
Yeah.
just? Okay, okay, good. I was like, I hope I don't get this wrong. Okay, giant 6 foot invisible rabbit. Okay, great. I got to rewatch that. I got to rewatch all of his films because he's great. Okay, that sounds wonderful. I'm looking forward to that. Okay, so let's see. Next we have. Let me look at my list here. CC, I don't think is here. CC, if you're here, you can pipe up. Chris, I think is here. Yes, Chris, what's your idea?
Hi, sorry. I saw like a pretty cool speech by Denzel Washington.
Okay.
I thought it'd be cool to like animate his speech like into words.
What was the topic of the speech?
He was giving a speech to like, I think it was like college graduates. I don't remember what the video title was, but I'd have to look for it.
Okay, but it was kind of an inspirational speech.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that sounds good. And then so you're gonna do the audio and then animate the words, right?
Yeah, and I might put like music in the background.
Yeah, that would be nice, especially if you put it really low.
Mhm.
And then, are you thinking of having any images, like when he talks about certain things? Are you going to show those things, or?
I hadn't thought about that, but I might do that.
Okay, all right, that sounds really good. Okay, excellent. So let's see. So we've got Chris, and so let's see what the next one is. Kaleo. Kaleo, what idea do you have?
I was going to take the audio from an episode of Doctor Who, where the Doctor is explaining the weeping angels, which are these kind of creepy things that if you look away from them, they're stone statues, but if you look away or blink, they'll move really quick and try and catch you. And there's kind of a cool explanation of that I was going to just animate the words moving from.
That would be an awesome one.
And are you going to show the some statue imagery, or what's going to happen there?
I think so. I might like have like the silhouettes of stuff moving in the background. I'm not entirely sure. There's also like when the Doctor is explaining it, he's on this old TV screen, so we can kind of give it like an old TV effect too. I'm not entirely sure yet.
Oh, cool. Okay, that sounds really good. Now I wanted to mention, you guys, when I described this project to you, I said like 30 seconds or whatever. But if your project ends up being a little less than, or even more than 30 seconds, that's just fine. I mean, if you find the perfect piece of audio that's 40 seconds long or 60 seconds long, and you want to animate that, great. I just wanted the first project to be kind of small so you could handle it, right? Okay, so thank you, Kaleo. And let's see, next we have Kim. Hi, Kim. You just joined us recently, right?
I thought of the wrong class time, but I'm here. Hi. Did you miss me?
Well, class only really starts when you show up, Kim.
See, I knew it. It's fine. But I planned on just taking like one of the character rants from the game series I was into and animating that. Either that or having one of my voice actor friends just kind of rant in one of the characters' voices and then doing that.
Okay, and then what are you going to have some graphics as well as the animated text?
I need to pick the actual text first, but I do plan on adding, well, like a little school background because that's where they are.
Okay.
And then, I don't know, I might like animate a little background scene. It might be funny, it might not be.
Okay. What's the name of the game again?
Danganronpa.
And it's just it takes place in a school? Is it like little kids on adventures, or what happens?
Oh, I wish it was that nice. Oh, I wish it was that nice.
Okay, maybe we don't want to know what happens. Okay, well, it sounds great. It sounds great. And I've seen your artwork before. I know you're great, so I look forward to what you're going to do there.
It's going to be very chaotic.
Okay, I would expect nothing less. Okay, so then we move on to Renee here. Renee, what ideas have you got?
Sorry. Okay, so I was thinking of just doing some animated text for the song for Freddy Krueger. And then just doing some background, just some background scenes, just kind of animated fog or just kind of to add to the aesthetic of it. Nothing too crazy.
Okay, and then you say Freddy Krueger. Is there an actual theme song that has words to it?
I mean, I don't know if it's his theme song, but yeah, that's that when they sing the 1-2, Freddy's coming for you.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, cool. And then you'll put some animated scenes and some creepy things happening in the background, right?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Okay. Sounds great. Okay. Sounds very good. Thank you, Renee. Okay, let's go down here to Scooby.
All right, so I'm just gonna do song lyrics from one of the bands, and in the background, the song is actually about a real life person, and he made a movie, and so I'm gonna use the intro of the song as music, and then I'm gonna use clips from the movie in the background.
Oh, cool. Okay. That sounds interesting because then you have both, you got the audio and then you can get the text from the lyrics and then you have visuals from the movie, right?
Yeah, that's the plan.
Okay. That sounds great. All right. Thank you, Scooby. Let's jump over here to Jaden.
I was thinking of doing a Muhammad Ali quote.
Okay.
With maybe the audio and then maybe background like a boxing ring or like cheers from one of his matches.
Yeah, that sounds great. Yeah, Muhammad Ali was an amazing dude. Okay, that's perfect. I like that. Thank you, Jaden. Okay, Sophia, I don't think is here. Luz, you're here. What's your idea?
So my idea is to go based off one of the songs from the Bee Gees, "Staying Alive," and like from the movie Saturday Night Fever,
Yeah,
when John Travolta has the white suit.
yeah,
So like kind of walking and going with the rhythm of the lyrics and the music.
cool. That's a classic scene. So you're gonna just animate all those words across the screen.
Yeah.
Okay, that sounds great. Um, yeah, that's a really amazing scene where he's walking and the his feet are hitting the ground with the beat of the music.
Hmm.
Yeah. That was a huge movie too. Wow. Okay, excellent. Thank you. That sounds like a great idea. Um, okay, let's see. From Renee to everyone. Yes, I was thinking that too, but at the end, I mean, maybe throughout would be nice too. Thanks, Luz. Oh, I feel like his phrase outline should fade in and out like a slow pulse. Oh, okay, cool. Thank you for the suggestion, Luz, to Renee. Okay, and then Jacob. Let's see, is Jacob even here? Are you here, Jacob? I gotta look at my list. Jacob, 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 Jacob. I don't think so. Okay, so let's move on to Isaac. Isaac, we know you're here.
Yeah, sorry. So I was thinking of doing the song "Blinding Lights" by The Weeknd,
Okay,
and do the chorus part in text, and then in the background have flashing lights.
okay, cool. So you've got your music, your visuals, and then your text from the lyrics, right?
Yeah.
Okay, sounds perfect. Okay, let's go here to Rachel.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah.
So I was thinking about doing a quote by Richard Feynman, and I can give you a video if you want.
Okay. I probably should have read some Richard Feynman by now, but I don't think I ever have.
It's entertaining.
Yeah, I mean, he's supposed to be good.
I have a friend who's an artist and has sometimes taken a view which I don't agree with very well. You hold up a flower and say, look how beautiful it is. And I'll agree, I think. And he says, you see, as I as an artist can see how beautiful this is. But you as a scientist, take this all apart and it becomes dull thing. And I think that he's kind of nutty. First of all, the beauty that he sees is available to other people and to me too. I believe, although I may not be quite as refined as aesthetically as he is, that I can appreciate the beauty of a flower. At the same time, I see much more about the flower than he sees. I could imagine the cells in there, the complicated actions inside, which also have a beauty. I mean, it's not just beauty at this dimension of 1 centimeter, there's also beauty at a smaller dimensions. The inner structure, also the processes, the fact that the colors on the flower evolved in order to attract insects to pollinate it is interesting. It means that insects can see the color. It adds a question. Does this aesthetic sense also exist in the lower forms? Why is it aesthetic? All kinds of interesting questions which the science knowledge only adds to the excitement, the mystery, and the awe of a flower. It only adds. I don't understand how it subtracts.
Yeah, that is cool. It's very interesting.
So maybe I can find some better quality audio there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wanted to do that and maybe animate some flowers. I really like drawing nature, so.
That's a great idea. And you know what else I like about this audio is he has a really pleasant voice.
Yeah, he does.
It's like really, kind of a low range. He has an interesting way of speaking. I don't know if you guys remember that Ira Glass video that I showed you last week, where he was talking about, practicing your art like writing and getting better at it. But I think Ira Glass has a really interesting voice. So not only is it fun to read the words and see them animate across the screen and to think about what he's saying, it's just a pleasant experience to listen to him. So, if you guys get audio, that also has the benefit of, having a person with a very nice voice that kind of helps the whole presentation. Okay, thank you. That sounds great. All right, let's see what we have next in our list here. So let's see, Jackson.
Yeah, so I'm gonna be doing a bunch of the different cutscenes from the video game Call of Duty Black Ops.
Okay.
It's hard to explain, but the story behind it is really dark and cryptic. It has to do with like things, conspiracies from the government relating to Kennedy and the Russians from the Cold War.
Yeah.
So
So you have audio that says that, and then you're going to put the cutscenes in there.
sorta, yeah. You'll see when I'm done with it. I'm not gonna copy it from the game, of course, because plagiarism. But
Right. Okay, cool. So you have a whole plan, and this is how you're trying it all together.
yes.
Okay, that sounds great. I look forward to seeing that. All right, thank you, Jackson. Okay, Uriel, are you here? Uriel?
I'm right here.
Okay. So what kind of idea do you have for this first project?
Oh, so for my idea, I'm doing the video I'm going to be using is one of my favorite short films of all time. It's called Stranger.
Okay.
And what I'm doing is I'm taking the audio from that and I'm kind of using both animated text as well as animated images to convey the story. I'm actually working on it right now, but it's my computer's taking a beating from it.
Okay. Okay, well, it sounds cool. It sounds like you're sort of, you're so convinced about the idea that you're already being able to work on it, which is great. Okay, cool. So you're good to go. So keep moving forward with that. Okay, next we have Laura. Hello, Laura.
Hi.
How's your internet today?
Well, it's not working.
Oh,
So yeah, I'm having problems with that.
I'm sorry.
Well, actually, I have two ideas, but the first one is my plan is to animate a quote by Helen Keller.
Okay.
To motivate people, and
All right.
well, since this is a positive quote, I would like to use a peaceful background. It could be clouds moving or even something related to nature or something like that. And I will use calm audio, but I would like to use probably her audio so I can work with her voice, but I haven't find a good audio for that, so that's why I came out with the second option. That is animate. I will work with some lyrics by Eric Nam. It's an American singer,
Okay.
and well, basically, I don't know. I will use a background that relates with that. That the song is "Runaway." So, yeah.
Okay. Well, they both sound good. The problem with the Helen Keller is that it would be hard to get the audio of that being
Yeah.
said. Okay. Yeah. Well, I think they're both good ideas, and you could pursue either one as far as I'm concerned. If the Runaway one's going to be easier on you, you can just go that direction. Or you could put a little time into seeing if you can find the Helen Keller anywhere, and if not, just go the Runaway direction. So,
Yeah.
yeah, they're both good. They both sound good.
Thank you.
Okay, good. Yeah, thank you. All right, so next we have Rodney.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. My ideas are up in the air right now. I have like 3 or so ideas, but it's either I want to do some motion text with the trailer of Mortal Shell, the new video game out that's similar to the Dark Souls series and Bloodborne series, or either I want to do a Dead Space trailer from number 2, where Isaac was getting the psych evaluation, and do either some graphic art on there or some actual visual from the actual trailer, but not make it too long. And it's somewhat I'm somewhat feeling if it's too hard, then because I don't know, I may overshot my ideas, but that's why it's up in the air.
Okay. Well, what you might consider is find a really simple idea in all of that, and try just doing the simplest version of this project that you can, because you can always add complexity. But if you start out with an idea that's too complex, you might not be able to complete it, and you might be kind of frustrated and disappointed.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Okay, yeah.
So
Your ideas sound good, so maybe just take another look at them and figure out which one you think would be easier to pull off.
okay.
Okay.
Or maybe go some type of music, a song. 'Cause I don't know,
Yeah,
some music.
that's always a good option too. Okay. All right, good. Thank you, Rodney. So let's go to Gabriel Terrazon. I don't know if you've had an idea to think up something.
Yes, actually, I have. Trying to see what the cameras have. Anyways, I'm starting up a tortilla company, so I took this class so I can make commercials. I noticed that online is really hitting right now when it comes to sales. So I have a total of like 11 ingredients, and I wanted to kind of put some music in the background. I was thinking like some Santana or maybe the tequila song, but the words that I wanted to animate are just the ingredients for making a tortilla. So hopefully, maybe I'm on the right side of this project. That's what I was wondering.
Okay, sounds good to me. Yeah, I always go into like Mosaic Cafe. Have you ever been there?
Oh yeah, I love that place. I've been to the one on, I think they have one on Speedway, and then the one up here by the Foothills Mall.
Yeah, I've been to one on Silver Bell, and I always like watch them making those tortillas and everything, and I'm like, oh my God, they come near plate and they're so good and so fresh. I'm like, oh, I wish I could make those, you know. So
Yes.
yeah, that sounds great. Yeah, good idea.
All right, thank you. Sweet.
Okay, and then Gabriel, Michael, have you got an idea? I don't know if you're talking, but I can't hear anything. It looks like you're unmuted. Oh, there you are. I can't hear you right now, but I can see you. Still can't hear you. So I'll give you a second to just see if you can resolve that issue. And while you're doing that, I'll just say I think these ideas are great. I love the ideas you guys are coming up with. All over the map, really interesting, cool song lyrics, quotes, music, visuals. It's all great. So Gabriel, do you want to try? Do you want to just do whatever you need to do, and then just let me know when you got it working?
He said he's gonna type it in chat.
Okay, great. You'll type my idea while you go with others. Okay. All right. So yeah, go ahead and type it in there, and then we'll come back and take a look at it. Now, what I wanted to do was, while he's typing that idea down, I wanted to show you guys those pre-created animations with text that I was telling you about, because I think they're going to be a big part of this project, right? Now, I know a couple things. Some of you probably don't have your books yet because you may have just ordered them and they take a few days to come in. And then, of course, when you get your books, you have to get the software too, right? And in addition to that, you have to download the lessons from the books. Now, we had some trouble getting the software last week. I've been going back and forth with IT, trying to figure out what the issue is. It's, to my knowledge, it's not resolved yet. However, you can go to the Adobe site and you can at least download the trial version of Adobe After Effects, which will last you a couple weeks, and hopefully we'll get the situation resolved between now and then. And then, of course, you can download the lessons, and then you can start to read the chapters in your book and start to do those lessons. Okay, so let's go back to Gabriel Michael here. He's written something in the chat box here. His project will be like a film driving scene where the driver and passenger are both text. And the text will go in and out depending on who's talking. It'll be dialogue between two characters with driving background, and maybe music. Okay, so there's two characters, and they're whatever they're saying is going to appear in text, little text boxes on the screen. Okay, and then there's going to be a driving sound and also maybe music in the background. Cool. Okay, it sounds great. It sounds interesting and cool. All right, thank you. Okay, so what I want to show you, I want to show you a couple things. So of course, the book you're going to get. Let me go to the internet here. When you get your book, you know, the Adobe After Effects CC Classroom in a Book 2020 edition, right? Right near the beginning of the book, there's going to be a page that says something like this. Now, I have the Kindle version of the book. You guys can get the printed hardcover, I mean soft cover version, or you can just go like on Amazon and buy the Kindle version. Okay, and then after you do that, you're going to need to download the lesson files for the book. Now, to get the lesson files, what you have to do is you have to copy this little ISBN number right here. So you can highlight that number and you can copy it, right? And then what you have to do is you have to go to this link right here, which is the publisher's website. It's called peachpit.com/register, okay? When you get there, they're going to ask you to set up a free account. So basically, you'll just put in your username and a password, right? And it'll log you in. And then they're going to ask you to take that ISBN number and put it into a little box. And when you do that, it's going to come up with a little file like this. Actually, it'll probably look like this. It'll probably show you, you know, the book that you purchased or the book itself, and then it'll give you the chance to download the files. Now, the files are under this tab right here. If you go to registered products, sorry, my computer's a little slow. Okay, you go to registered products, and then there's something here that says benefit access bonus content. And you click on that, and now it says download the book's lesson files. And you click here and it will download the files. Now, it's a zipped folder, but it's pretty big, 1.25 gigabytes. So it's going to take a few minutes. It'll take up a little room on your computer. After you download it, you'll have to expand the archive. You know, just double click on it and we'll unstuff the archive. And then you'll be able to go in there and you'll be able to use the files. Now, so the folder is going to be called After Effects CC, you know, _2020, all that kind of stuff, right? Okay, so I have done that. I've actually got the 2019 version here to look at. But, you know, after you download that folder, you can open it up and you're going to see that basically the whole book is broken down into about 15 lessons, right? And what we're going to do in this class is we're going to do like a lesson every week, because the semester is about 16 weeks and there's about 15 chapters in this book. So that just kind of works out, right? Now, the very last lesson is going to be one that tells you how to render movies. In other words, how to take your final After Effects project and turn it into a film, you know, a video. Now, I don't know why they put it at the end, because that's something that we teach you right at the beginning of the class. So when you get to lesson 15, you probably won't have to do it at all because you already know that stuff. But all the other ones we're going to do. Now, when you're going to do the lessons, you read the book and they tell you what to do. They tell you, you know, to open the lesson file, go into assets, import, you know, some things, and then, you know, do whatever the book tells you. In addition to that, they always put in a version of the file called the end project file, which is the finished lesson. In other words, you go ahead and you look at this lesson, you see how it's supposed to look, and then you can go do the project, the lesson, and if it looks the same as the sample, then you did it right. Now, they also always have a folder called Finished Project, and that's where you can save your files too, right? And that's true of all these different lessons here. And we'll look at lesson 1 in a minute and see how that works. And of course, you have your book itself. Like I said, I have mine. It's digital here. And I can just go through And look, it shows right here, it's showing you the picture of the screenshot where you click on registered products and click access bonus content, right? So then we have our table of contents, and we have an introduction here, getting to know the workflow, and we have lesson 1. Now what I've asked you guys to do is get the book, read the introduction, and then work a little bit on lesson 1, right? And so it says it'll take about an hour to complete. I think you'll be able to do it a lot quicker than that. But lesson 1 is where you take a video of a little dog swimming, and you just do a couple of special things to it. You put in a special effect, which is this light beam here. You take this on the move text and you animate it, and it's really quite a simple lesson, right? So, they've got some different pieces of information in here that tell you about the After Effects work area, like that the floating panels are on the left, the drop-down menus at the top. The center area is, of course, the work area where you put your compositions. Over here we have our project window, which is where all your assets are. Down here we have our layers stack, and over here we have our timeline, which is the animation timeline, right? Okay, so lots of information about that. Okay, so let me just show you. I'm just going to go back and forth between this file and After Effects. And so they say, make sure the following files are in the lessons file folder. And then they say in the assets folder, you want to go ahead and bring in these particular files. I'm going to go ahead and make my page a little smaller here so I can see more on each page. Okay. So it says open and play the lesson 01.avi sample movie in Windows Movies and TV, or lesson 1 movie sample in QuickTime to see what you will create in this lesson. When you're done, you can close it, right? So, okay, so I got to find that folder again. Let's see what it's called, After Effects. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my desktop here, go to lesson 1, go to sample movie, and you see it's got a AVI for Windows computer and MOV for Mac. So I'm going to open this MOV, and this is essentially what we're going to create in chapter 1. Okay, that's it. It's like 7 seconds of a dog swimming and some hip hop music or cool music, rock and roll, right? Okay, so that's the first thing that they wanted us to do, was take a look at that. So now they say the next thing we want to do is create a project and import footage, right? So it says start After Effects, and then they tell you to do all this stuff to clear out, the machine so that it'll create a new project. So really, you can just start After Effects and you'll be fine. And then it says click new project in the home window. Okay, so when we start After Effects, there's a window that comes up that I actually already turned it off, but it says, do you want to create a new project? And you say yes. You can also go File, New, and then New Project, and it will give you this blank screen right here. This is the blank screen you're going to start with to make a new project. All right, let's go back and see what the next step is. Okay, click New Project in the home window. That's fine. Okay. Now it says there's a single file that stores references to all the footage used in this project. It's called a composition. So once again, After Effects files are like containers that hold links to all the assets that you're bringing in, all the movies and audio and animation and stuff like that. Okay, so what do we got next? So, okay, it says double click in the lower area of the project panel to open the import file dialog box. Navigate to lesson 1 assets folder and select the title PSD file. Choose composition from the import as menu. Okay, so you can see an example here. When we go into lessons, lesson 1 assets, we see 3 things. They want us to click on the title, the .psd, and they want us to import that as a composition. So let me show you what they're talking about. So here in After Effects, this window over here is called the project window. You can see it says the word project up here. Now, the easiest way to bring content into After Effects is to double click on the project window. That's going to give you a file browser. And then you can go onto your onto your computer here, and you can locate the After Effects demo files here, the lesson files here. And you go into lesson 1. Oops, shoot. Sorry, I double clicked on it and it tried to bring in a bunch of stuff. So hold on a second. Let me try that again. So double click in here, go into assets, and then you want to click on title.psd, and you want to import that as a composition. Okay? And then we're going to go ahead and hit open. Now it's going to import that item. And then it says here it gives us an option to bring it in what's called editable layer styles, which means we can actually change the layer styles of that. And we're going to say okay. We're going to leave the default and say okay, right? Now I'm going to go ahead and delete this folder that got brought in accidentally. And then what we're going to end up with is one file which is a composition. And remember, a composition is a composite of a bunch of different things. Which looks like this. It's a oval in blue with white letters on it, and then a black background. And then we're also going to get this folder which is called title layers. And if you open that up, it's actually 2 layers of a Photoshop document. So you have one that has a black background that has the words title here, and you have one that has a blue background. And these are the 2 components that make up this composition here called title, right? Okay, so now I'm going to go back to my instructions here. And this is the screen where we said go ahead and choose the editable layer styles. And then it says, let's see, when you import files, After Effects doesn't copy the video and audio data itself in your project. Instead, each footage item in the project panel contains a reference link to the source files. That's why it's so important to make a folder to store everything in. Okay. All right, let's see what else they want us to do here. Did they tell us to bring the other ones in yet? Let's see. Okay, we did that one. Now we're going to go to the next one. Let's see. Okay, here they're talking about if you're missing footage, how to correct that. So it says after you've imported footage, it's a good time to save the project. But I didn't see in here where they actually told us to import the footage. Maybe I missed that. Let's see. Double click the lower, navigate to this and select the title, choose composition. Let's see, After Effects, okay. We did that. In the project panel, click select different footage items. Notice, okay. Let's see, when you import files, okay. Let's see, choose file, okay. Navigate listens, finish project, name the vertical, let's finish AAP, and then click save. Okay, so the next thing they want us to do is save our file. And so what we're going to do is we're going to go File, Save As, and then Save As. And we're going to navigate to our lesson folders. And we've got this folder here called Lesson 01. And inside there's something called Finished Project. And so we're going to call this file lesson 01 underscore finished. Okay, now this is actually a fairly simple project. So even if you don't have the book or the program right now, just kind of watching how it works, I think will help you when you guys are doing this on your own. Okay, so we just kind of save that in the folder. And now what we're going to do is go back and look at what the next set of instructions is. Sorry, my screen is being kind of stupid here. It's not, it's like frozen, so I can't really do anything. Let me see what's happening here. Okay, got a little bit of a freeze here. I tell you guys what. Now I think would be an excellent time for a break. I think you would agree, especially since we're encountering some technical difficulties here. So it's 1:45. Why don't we take a 15-minute break? You guys go ahead. You can use the restroom, get something to eat or drink, whatever you need to do. I'm going to take time during that break and fix this technical problem. And then when we come back, we'll look at some more After Effects things. Sound good? Okay. Go ahead and take a little break. Okay, so I am back. I know that you guys are probably kind of filtering back in at your own rate, but I'm going to go ahead and get started back up with this little demo of chapter 1, and then I'm going to show you how the presets work. Preset animations which can be applied to text. Okay, so let me go ahead and share my screen. Okay, so we're back to After Effects here. And of course, I have my book with chapter 1 right here. Now, the other thing that it wants us to do is it wants us to import 2 footage layers. And so I'm going to go ahead and do that. So once again, you double click in your project window here. You go to your assets folder, and the other 2 things are an audio file, which is the MP3, and a video file, which is the MP4. So I'm going to shift click on both of those to bring those in, and I'm going to import them as a footage, as footage items. I'm not going to create a composition for those. I'm just going to import them. So what that means is that they just kind of come in as their own little items over here, right? Okay, so next what we're going to do is, we brought all those items in, and so next it says that what they want you to do is they want you to take that file. They want you to take all 3 of the files here. It says create a composition from footage to import it. Select create composition in the import file dialog box, right? So I could have, when I clicked on that video, I could have said, create composition when I imported it, or there's another way that you can create a composition, right? And what you can do is you can grab the video, which is this MP4 file, and you can drag it down to this button right here, which is called the Create New Composition button. It's this 3rd one from the left. So I'm going to click on this, and I'm simply going to drag it down on top of the Create New Composition button. And then sure enough, it's going to create a composition from the video, right? And the composition will be exactly the same size as the video, same resolution, same file size, and also the same length as the composition. So one of the things I always tell people when they start working with After Effects is it's always a good idea to have what I call a master file. And the master file would be the one piece of video footage that you know for sure is approximately the length of the project that you're doing, and is also, the physical size of the window that you want, the resolution. So that when you take that and you drag it down on top of this Create New Composition button, it makes your composition so that it fits all those settings, right? Now, obviously, when you have multiple pieces of video that you're bringing in, some of those pieces of video may be different. They may be different sizes. They may be different frame rates. Well, the very first thing that you use to create a composition sets the bar for the composition, and everything about the composition takes on the aspects and the characteristics of the first thing that you import. So in other words, this becomes the master file. So now, if you bring in a new piece of footage that has a different frame rate or a different size, After Effects auto-adjusts the frame rate on the new footage to match this one. So that's why it's always good to start out your projects with a piece of video that is, like I said, the size and the length of what you want your project to be, if you have that luxury, right? Okay, so now by grabbing that Swimming Dog MP4 and dragging it down on top of the new Create Icon button, we have a new composition that was created. And you can see that in this little project window, there are the files that we brought in, what are called assets, the MP4 video, the MP3 audio, and of course the title Photoshop images, which we turned into a composition when we created it, right? And now the composition, which is basically the video. Now you can have multiple compositions in one big After Effects composition. You can have what we call mini comps. And those mini comps are like Russian stacking dolls. You can put a composition inside of a composition inside of a composition, and you get all these special effects that can happen, right? The advantage of making a separate composition is you can do anything you want with that. It's kind of like a separate composition is like having a separate folder in Photoshop. And then you could apply effects to that composition, or you can move its order around in the stacking order. So you can do all kinds of things with separate compositions. So our main composition is the dog swimming, but our mini composition, our nested composition, is this little title graphic, and we'll see what that does in a moment. Okay, so now we'll go back to the book here. And of course, you guys will be able to do this on your own when you have the book and the lesson files, and at least a trial version of After Effects. Okay, so we went ahead and we made that composition, right? Now what they want us to do is they want us to drag the other items down to the timeline, to the layer stack down here. So right now we've got the swimming dog, so they want us to take the MP3 audio file and drag that down. And sure enough, that makes its own layer, which is just audio. And they want us to take this whole mini comp, which is the title, and they want us to drag that down too, right? And so there it is. There's the mini composition, which is just a couple of Photoshop layers. Okay, so let's see what happens next, right? I guess they're okay with that title being at the bottom of the stack for right now. So I'll click on that. I'll simply drag it down to the bottom of the stack. And just like Photoshop, if you put something underneath the other layers, you can't see it because the layer that's on top is the layer that's front facing and the other ones are behind it, right? Okay, so now I've got all three pieces in there. And here in the book, they talk about nesting, which is putting compositions inside of each other, right? Now, it says they want you to make a change to the composition. It says choose composition settings. In the composition settings dialog box, rename the composition movement and type 700 for the duration and click OK. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to go up here to the composition dropdown. I'm going to go to composition settings. Right now the composition took on the name of the video, the master video, which was Swimming Dog. But I'm going to rename it Movement. Okay. Now it says that they want it to be 7 seconds, but it already is 7 seconds, so I'm good with that. Now, one point about this time code here I want to mention to you guys, because it can be kind of confusing. If you'll notice this time code here, it has a 0 and then a colon and 2 more zeros. It's maybe easier to see down here. 2 more zeros, a colon, and 2 more zeros. Now, most of us would think, oh, well, let's see, that's hours, minutes, seconds. What's the last thing, right? And that's actually correct. The very first number represents hours. The second two numbers represents minutes. The third set of two numbers represents seconds. But here's the one that tricks everybody. The very last two numbers indicate frames. So in other words, let's say you had a movie that was 2 hours long. You could put a 2 there, right? And it was 2 hours and 23 minutes long, right? So 2:23. 2 hours and 23 minutes and 7 seconds long, right? Okay, that all makes sense. But then, and 1 frame. So in other words, that's kind of crazy, but you might have a movie that goes 2 hours, 23 minutes, 7 seconds, and then had 1 additional frame, right? I'm sure it happens. But anyway, that's what all of those things mean. And so you can actually just type in here however long you want your compositions to be. We want ours to be 7 seconds. We want to rename it Movement, and so we hit OK, and now it is called Movement. All right, so the next thing they want us to do, they talk a little bit about layers and the fact that if you drag something down to the bottom, then it goes to the bottom of the stack, right? And so now they want us to take the title and drag it to the top, and they want us to move the audio down to the bottom. So the audio is right here, the title's right here. We can click that, drag that to the top of the stack. Now we've got the audio on the bottom, the video of the dog in the middle, and the title at the top. Now, as I'm doing this, if you guys have a question, you can either type it into the chat box, and I will try and look for that, or you can, just raise your hand or just ask your question, right? Now, I'm going to open up my chat box here because it looks like there is one chat in there. I don't know if it's my internet or whatever, but something's moving incredibly slow. And it's not letting me open the chat here. So that's a super drag. Okay, give me a second here. Let me see if I can close a few things.
Question about the AE software. Do we have to buy the subscription because the free trial is only for a week? That's what was asked.
Oh, that's what was asked. Thank you so much. Okay. You don't have to buy a subscription because Pima is giving you a subscription for this semester. But right now there's an issue with it. There's some issue where Pima has bought the licenses for all of us to use it, but when we go to the Adobe site, we can't actually get them to allow us to download the version of the software that we can use for 4 months. So what I'm asking you guys to do is download the 1-week trial version until this issue gets resolved. Okay, yeah, so apologies, my computer's a little bit on the fritz here, which of course is a super drag. Let me see what I can do here. Okay. Yeah, I may have to have you, if there's another question typed in there, Scooby, you may have to read it for me. Okay.
Spike just commented he was able to get it, no problem.
So Spike, you were able to get in. Okay, great, good. Maybe they fixed the problem. So thank you. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, my computer's having some serious issues here, guys. I tell you what, because I want to be able to get through this. Let me see what I can do about fixing this issue. If my computer's going to be responsive, give me a minute here to see if I can do anything to resolve this problem, and then we'll move forward. All right. Yeah, I think I'm just kind of stuck, and I'm sorry to say that, which unfortunately, okay, unfortunately what that means is I'm gonna have to restart my computer, and when I restart my computer, the Zoom session is gonna go kaput. So this is what I would like you guys to do. I'm gonna restart my computer. The Zoom session, I assume it's going to go down because I'm not connected to it anymore. If that's the case, I would like you guys to try reconnecting in about 5 minutes, and at that point, we should have everything fixed here. Okay, so my apologies, but I'm just going to go ahead and restart right now. Okay, that's really weird. I tried to restart and it didn't actually restart, but it did. Just asking it to restart fix the problem, whatever it was. So now I'm relaunching After Effects to see if we can be effective in this. Okay, so just give it a minute. We'll get the program started back up here. Okay, let's see. Okay. Okay, so here's one cool thing about After Effects. This is the screen that comes up when you launch. You can start a new project right here by clicking on the button. You can open a project by clicking here, or if you just worked on a project, you can click on it and then it will open that project for you. So now we're back in the project that we were in before. Okay, so now I can go back to my textbook here. Okay, so the next thing it wants me to do something called transforming layer properties. It says the title is currently in the center of the screen, obscuring the dog and distracting from the action. You'll move it to the lower left corner where it will remain visible but not in the way. Select the title layer, layer 1, and the timeline in the timeline panel. Notice that layer handles appear around the layer in the composition panel. Okay, so in other words, when we click on title, which once again is a mini composition, all these little handles appear around it, which will let us move it, right? Okay, next, click the triangle to the left of the number to expand the layer, and then expand the layer's transform properties: anchor point, position, scale, rotation, and opacity. If you can't see the properties, scroll down the timeline panel using the scroll bar at the right side of the panel. Better yet, select the title layer name again and press P. Okay, so what they're talking about is on every one of these layers here, you have what's called a disclosure triangle. And this disclosure triangle is this triangle over here. And if you click on it, it opens up the layer. And the first layer that it opens up is called transform. And then you click on that transform disclosure triangle. And now it gives you 5 different choices of transformation options. Things like rotating the object, or moving it to a new position, creating a new anchor point, which is a point around which things will rotate, scaling the object so that it gets bigger or smaller, and opacity, make it more opaque or more transparent, right? So, and you can set those, the way that Adobe After Effects works, it creates animation by a series of keyframes. And so if you're saying that, you know, at the very beginning of the movie, we want our scale to be 100, 100, if you click on this little stopwatch icon to the left of the word scale, it will set a keyframe, right? But then if you grab this little blue guitar pick looking thing and you go down to, like, you know, 1 second, and you create a new keyframe and you say, I want, at this point, I want the scale to be 200%, so twice as big. Over the interval between the beginning of the movie and 1 second, it will automatically scale it from 100% to 200%. That's, in a nutshell, that's how After Effects works, through keyframe animation. So let's go ahead and see what it is they want us to do. The first thing they want us to do is they want us to move this title composition to the lower left corner, and they want us to do that by putting in numbers for the position. You can see that right now, this is the x-axis and the y-axis. 640 and 360 put this thing dead in the center. But if we look at our book here, they say if we change the coordinates to 265 and 635, it will push it down into the lower left corner. So 265, 635. So 265, tab, 635, tab. Okay, once again, those are x and y coordinates, x going this way, y going this way, and the top left corner being the 0, 0 point, right? This is a coordinate. And so what that does is it moves it into the location that you want it. Okay, next. Add an effect to call. Okay. Next, they say After Effects includes several effects to correct or modify color in your projects. You'll use the auto contrast effect to adjust the overall contrast in the clip and intensify the color of the water. Okay? So it says select the Swimming Dog MP4 layer, click the Effects and Presets panel in the panel stack at the right side of the application, and type contrast into the search box. Okay, so let's do that. So I'm going to have to move, let me go ahead and I'll close up my disclosure triangle for the title, which was this. I'll click on the Swimming Dog, which is the layer I want to affect, and then I'm going to move you guys over here to your pictures of you over to the left so we can see these images on the right. Now, what you want to do is you want to click on Effects and Presets, and this is how you can search for all of the cool special effects that are in After Effects. And then you just simply click in the search box and you type the word contrast, right? Now it brings up a bunch of different types of contrast that you can use. Contrast luminance, saturation, auto contrast, and brightness and contrast. So then we'll look to the book for which one of those they want us to use. So it says, it comes up with all of the different options. It says it wants us to use the auto contrast effect, which is this one right here. And it says drag the auto contrast effect onto the swimming dog layer in the timeline panel. Okay, so what they're talking about is, put you guys down here for a second. Okay, what you do is you literally click on the effect here. You click and hold it with your mouse, and you come down and you drag it down right on top of the layer. Okay, and what that does, I don't know if you saw that, but it did a contrast on the video, and it made the dark areas darker and the light areas lighter, and basically auto contrasted it just like you would do auto contrast on a photograph. And so it did a nicer job of making that look good. Okay, I have to constantly move this little picture of all you guys around because I'm always moving to different location. Okay, let's put you over here for now. Okay, good. All right, so now I can go back to the book. All right, so next page. Move this over a little bit. Okay, so to apply the effect, right? And then it says it intensifies the color a little more than we need. So now what they want us to do is in the effects control panel, they want us to change the contrast. So there's a control over here called blend with original. And what they want us to do is they want us to change that to 20%. Okay, so let's go look at what they're talking about. So it's so funny because every time I move this, I have to move it again. So I think what I'm going to do is just shrink you guys down and put you in the corner. I hope you don't mind. Okay. So right down here, after we took that auto contrast and dragged it on top of the layer, it's a special effect. And so now our project window got replaced with the effects window. You can see it says effects controls. And what they want us to do is they want us to take this blend with original, and which is taking the effect, the auto contrast, and blending it with the original. And they want us to go from 0% to 20%. So let's see how that changes when I hit my return button. Okay, I don't know if you could see that on your screens, but it lightened it up a bit. Okay, all right, so let's see what's next. Okay, so we did that, and it says adding a stylistic effect. So now what they want us to do is add what looks like a light beam, which is going to cut across the center of the video here. So they say click X in the search box in the effects and presets area to blank that out, and then search for something called CC Light, or CC Light Sweep, I guess is what it's called. And then they want us to take that and drag it onto the swimming dog layer again. And then we're going to go over here and change some of the special effects of that. Okay, so it's called CC Light. So once again, in After Effects, I'm going to click this X button here to clear this out. I'm going to do a search for CC Light. Okay, and it looks like that's kind of weird. Let me move this. Hold on a second. I want to drag this down a little bit so that I can see everything that's coming out. Let's see. Let me put it here. CC Light Wipe. Yeah, see, they've changed the names of these. So I'm thinking it might be CC Light. Oh, I think it was CC Light Sweep. Let me see. Yeah, CC Light Sweep. Okay, great. All right, so let me take this. You can see that you can take these little things here, these floating panels, and you can drag them around to different areas, right? So I'm going to click on CC Light Sweep. I'm going to grab that and drag it down on top of the swimming dog layer and before. And you can see what it does. It puts in this ray of light right here, which is going across. Now what they're going to want us to do is rotate that light so it's going the opposite direction, and they're going to want us to change some of these special effects settings on the light over here to make it look a little different, a little more subtle, less obvious. Now you can see over here in the effects panel that there's two effects now. There's auto contrast, which was the first one we did, and that has this little disclosure triangle here. And if I click on this disclosure triangle, it will close up the auto contrast effects, so I don't have to look at that. I don't have to be confused by that. Now I can just look at CC Light Sweep, right? So I've got that CC light sweep, okay? So now let's see what they want us to do next. So they say, first we'll change the angle of the light. For direction, type 37 degrees. Okay, so we go in here, we find direction, and right now it says -30, and it's going like this. I don't know if this is backwards on your screen or not, but it's -30. So if we put in a positive number, 37, it will approximately flip over and go the other direction. So I'm going to put in 37 and hit enter, and sure enough, now the light beam is going slightly the other way, or opposite way. Now, from the shape menu, choose smooth to widen and soften the light beam. Okay, so for shape, it's showing the word sharp, and this is a very, sharp beam of light. So what we want to do is click on that and change it to smooth, and you can see that instantly the light beam becomes smoother and a little more gentle and subtle. Okay, now for width, and this is the width of the light beam, type 68 to widen the beam a bit more. Okay, so for width, it's 50, so we're going to type in 68 and see what happens, and sure enough, it just widens the light. And now you can see, with all those corrections, this light kind of resembles this light, and so it looks like it was there from the beginning. So this is how you can add special effects in such a way that they enhance your composition, but nobody really knows that they were added. Okay, now it says change the sweep intensity value to 20 to make the beam even a little more subtle. Okay, so sweep intensity is this. It's at 25. We're going to set it to 20, and there you go. It's even more subtle. Now, of course, they're telling you in the book what settings to put in, but when you guys are doing these lessons, you're welcome to experiment with these different controls here and see what each one of them does. There's something really cool about After Effects. If you take your mouse and you hover it over any blue number, you can click on that number, and while your mouse is held down, if you drag it to the right, it increases the number. If you drag it to the left, it decreases the number. So this is a very quick way to make changes to things in After Effects. Okay, so now it says animating the composition. It says, so far we've started a project, created a composition, imported footage, and applied some effects. It all looks great, but how about some movement, right? So this is an animation program. So what they want us to do is they want us to basically animate what's called the text composition, which is this little thing that says title here, right? Now it says preparing the text composition. In this exercise, we'll work with a separate composition, which is the one we imported from a layered Photoshop file, which is this right here. Now it says select the project tab to display the project panel, and then double click the title composition to open it in its own timeline panel. Okay? Now, one of the things you have to know about After Effects, this little window over here does double duty. It serves as your project window where you can see a list of all your files and you can open and import new files. But when you apply special effects, it automatically becomes a special effects window. Well, after you've applied an effect, if you want to go back to working with the project window, you have to switch this window. And the easiest way to do it is at the top of this window, there's these two little arrows here. You can click on that and you see the word project here. So you click on that, it takes you back to the project window, and so now you can see things, right? Now, it says that there's a mini composition or a nested composition in the larger one, which is this one called title. And you can tell that because it has this icon that looks like little colored graphics in there and a little film strip slotted edge on the side. Now what they're telling us is if you double click on something that has the composition icon, it says composition, it will open up the composition in your main composition window here and let you work on that independently of the big composition. So if I double click on title, sure enough, it opens just the title composition, which is just this text, right? And you can see it looks kind of pixelated on the edges because it's really huge, but it's going to look good when it's small. Okay, now it says this composition has two layers, title here and ellipse one, okay? And you can see that. Okay, so let's go to the next page of this, okay? All right, so let's see. It says select the title here layer, which is this first layer, and then choose layer, create, convert to editable text. Okay, so we're going to click on this. Obviously, there's this word title here, or these words. We come up to the top, we click on layer, create, convert to editable text. Now what happens is this text, which just kind of came in and stayed all grouped together, now became editable text, which means we can actually take our text tool, which is this little T up here, and we can click down in here and we can actually work with this text. Now I'm going to go ahead and zoom out a little bit. Let me go to, let's see, what's 100%? Okay, I'll go to 100%, and that'll make this look a little better. And I'm also going to go to view here, and let's see, let me see what my view options are. Resolution, quarter. Okay, that's fine. Okay, so I'm working on what's called quarter resolution, which means things are going to look a little pixelated, but my computer will move kind of quickly. And then when I'm done with the composition, I'll switch it over to full resolution so I can see how good everything looks. Okay, so this is not a very long lesson. It moves rather quickly. So we're almost done with it. We're just going to make some changes to this, and then we're going to throw the music file down there, and we'll be good. Okay, so we converted it to editable text, right? And now we're going to edit the text itself. So it says select the horizontal type tool, which is this little text tool up here. And then what they want you to do is highlight this text and change it so it says on the move 3 different words. Okay, so we're going to take our text tool here. We're going to highlight this text. We're going to type on the move 3 words. Okay, now it says select the text again. Then in the character panel, which is this bad boy over here, change the text size to 100 pixels and the tracking to -50. Okay, so we'll go ahead and do this. Right now, the text size is 135, so we're going to click on that blue number and change it to 100. Oops. Return, okay. And then I forgot what the tracking was at 30. -50, okay. So now for the tracking, which is this number right here, we're going to do -50. Now tracking is how much space is between your words and your letters. If it's a negative number, it moves them together. If it's a positive number, it moves them apart. Okay, so now we've got our on the move text looking the way it should. Now it says select the title here layer in the timeline panel again. Make sure you're at the first frame of the animation by doing one of the following. Drag the cursor to the left or hit the home key on your keyboard, okay? And then it says select the effects and presets tab to display the effects and presets panel. Then type fade up words in the search box. Okay, and so what we're doing is we're looking for a preset text animation. And these are the things I want to show you guys to use with your projects because it's going to make your project so much easier. What happens is you can just type some text in After Effects like on the move here, and then you just grab a preset animation and you drag it on top of that layer, and it automatically does that animation to the text. We'll see that in just a second here. So we're going to look for fade up words. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over here. We're going to click on Effects and Presets. We're going to click on the X to zero that out. We're going to come in here and we're going to type fade up words. Okay, and now it finds in a folder called Animation Presets and then inside a folder called Text and one called Animate In, it finds fade up words. So we click on that and sure enough we drag it on the title here layer. Now what's interesting about this is your text disappears and you're like, oh my God, what did I do wrong? But actually you didn't do anything wrong. This puts in a special effect which starts out with you not being able to see the text but then fades the text in. Now you can preview your effect by clicking on your cursor here, your playback head, and you simply drag it across the timeline and you can see what happens. The words just kind of fade in, right, on the move. Okay, so we got that done, that's correct. Okay, they talk about time code a little bit here, which we already discussed. They in here, they break down the timeline panel a little bit, which might be helpful to you. So these little sidebars are just helpful information, right? Okay, now the next thing they want to do is they want us to animate using keyframe animation. And I explained that a little earlier. That's how After Effects works. You make a keyframe with a certain setting, you go down the timeline and you put another keyframe with a different setting, and then After Effects makes the change for you, right? So it says go to the beginning of the time ruler by dragging the current time indicator to the left. So we're going to do that by grabbing this and dragging it all the way to the left. We're back where nothing is showing. Okay, now it says type channel blur in the search box and then drag the channel blur effect onto the title here layer in the timeline panel. Okay, so once again, we're going to click the X. We're going to type channel blur. Once again, another preset effect. Okay, we're going to click on that and we're simply going to drag it on top of the title here layer. Okay, now you can see that because it's an effect, the special effects window gets filled up with all of the different possibilities that we can do on that, right? Okay, it says in the effects control panel, set the red blurriness, green blurriness, and blue blurriness and alpha blurriness values to 50. Click the stopwatch icon next to each of these settings you change to create the initial keyframes. The text will be blurred as it first appears. Okay, so you see we have something called red, green, blue, and alpha blurriness. Now they want us to set all those to 50. A quick way to do this is you type in 50, you hit tab, 50 again, tab, 50 again, tab, 50 again, tab. Okay, now we've set basically the blurriness of all three channels, which is red, green, blue, to blur, 50 pixels. And then the alpha, which means the transparency layer, we change that to 52. Now we're going to set the keyframes. You come over here to this little icon, which is to the left, which looks like a stopwatch, and you simply click on it, and it turns blue. And what happens is, if we open up the title here layer, and we open up effects, let me see if I can get this to open up. And we open up channel blur. Okay, do you see these 4 diamonds right here? These 4 diamonds are the keyframes, and you can see that they correspond with these different layers here: blue, blurriness, green, red, and alpha. So what we've done is at the beginning of the movie, we set a keyframe which says, hey, at the very beginning of the movie, we want every channel of this, in other words, every color of this text to be blurred, right? Okay, now if we want to make an animation, what we have to do is go further down the timeline, put in new keyframes, and change the state of that text, unblur it. And then in the time it takes to play from the first frame to wherever we reach, After Effects will go ahead and do the animation. It'll start blurred and it will get sharp. Okay, so let's see what it's doing here. So we did all that stuff, right? Okay, so now it's saying, let's see. From the Blur Dimensions menu, choose vertical. Okay, so another setting that they want us to change in here, it says Blur Dimensions, horizontal and vertical. I got to make sure I'm back at the beginning here. Okay. All right. From the Blur Dimensions, okay, let me make sure they don't want us to, yeah. From the Blur Dimensions, choose vertical. Okay, so right now it says Blur Dimensions, horizontal and vertical. We're going to go to vertical. All right. Okay. Now, go to 1 second in the timeline and change the values to the following. Okay, so this is exactly what I just said. If we take our timeline, our time playback head here, and we move it down to 1 second, right? Now we're going to go up here, and these things which were 50, which were blurred out at the very beginning, if we set them all to 0, so 0, tab, 0, tab, 0, tab, 0, now at 1 second, everything that was blurred is now sharp, right? I know it looks a little blurry on your screen. It does to mine too, because I'm in this slow mode, which is going to, well, it's a poor visual quality that's going to allow everything to move quicker. But you can see that it put 4 new keyframes in here, right? And in fact, if I grab my playback head, you can do something called scrubbing along the timeline, which is when you grab your playback head and you move it from one place to another, you can see the special effect taking place. So in this case, it was blurry at the beginning, and then over a 1 second period, it became sharper. So that's the animation effect that we wanted to create. Okay, now they're saying they want us to change the opacity of the background, right? And so the title looks good, but the ellipse, that blue ellipse, is too bright, that one right there. So they say, in the timeline panel, select the ellipse 1 layer, press T to reveal the layer's opacity property, and change the opacity value to 20%. Okay, so I'm done working on this title here layer, so I'm going to close the disclosure triangle. I'm going to click on the ellipse, and I can either open up the transformation buttons here, or I can use a shortcut, which is if you hit the letter T, it only opens up one transformation property, which is in fact the transparency property, right? So right now it's at what's called 100% opacity, which means it's completely visible. I'm going to change it to 20%, and when I hit enter, watch what happens to that blue ellipse. It fades back, right? It's now only 20% of opacity, which means it's 80% transparent. Okay, it says you're probably eager to preview your work. You can preview the composition using the preview panel and play everything, right? Okay, so what I can do is up here on the left-hand side, I've got this thing called preview, and all I have to do is click on this preview, and it opens up a playback transport here, and I can just hit play, and once again you see that happening. I can hit my space bar to stop it, and so I previewed my little animation there. Okay, now keep in mind that this mini or nested composition is actually still on the main composition. You remember one of the first things we did was we dragged it from the center to the lower left corner, right? But now we independently opened this mini composition up and made changes to it. We changed the text, we put a couple special effects on it, we changed the background of the ellipse. But now when we go back to the main composition, all those effects will show up because this mini comp is sitting on top of the big comp, right? Okay, so in the timeline panel, hide all layer properties and deselect all layers. Make sure the video switches on. Okay, so that's just to preview the thing, right? Okay, now let's see. Click the movement tab in the timeline panel to bring it forward. Let's see. Okay, and now make sure the video switch is turned on for all layers, except the audio layer, and press F2 to deselect all layers. Drag the current time indicator at the beginning of the timer or press the home key. Okay, so what they want us to do now is preview the main animation. Now, if you're working with multiple compositions, they'll show up down here in tabs. So this one right here is called title. It's just this little ellipse, but the main one we renamed movement. So if we click on that, now we're going to see the dog swimming with, of course, the light beam that we put in and the contrast that we added. But then the nested animation, which is this one called title, is sitting right there, okay? So all we have to do is, let me see, I want to turn my sound off by clicking on the little speaker icon on the movement MP3 layer, and then I just want to hit my preview button. And you see, it went very quickly, but you know the dog is swimming across the pool. But notice that this animation happens right away, within 1 second. Right, the on the move just kind of comes in there like that. Okay, now we're almost done here. So now what we're going to do? Okay, you can press the space bar to begin and end your composition, right? And then finally, we're going to turn the audio on this MP3 layer. And we simply do that by clicking on this column right here, which has the speaker icon on it. And now, with any luck, this thing will play the audio. Let's see. Okay, and so that's it. That's project 1. Now, not project 1, I'm sorry, chapter 1 in the book. It's a pretty simple chapter, but it does teach you how to use After Effects, right? Now, I just want to show you one more thing before we get out of here, and that is how to use these presets for your project, which you're working on. So let's say, for example, that you were doing a project where you're taking a quote, and the quote is something like the golden rule, like do unto others as you would have done unto you. Okay, and now I'm going to grab that and drag that up to the top so that we can see it. Now you can see my text is all kind of jacked up here. Let me set this to auto. Let me set this to 0. And let me expand this. Okay, as you would have done unto you. Okay, I'm not sure why that last one didn't Let's see, we want this 0. We want this auto. Okay, there we go. All right, now notice that I have this text layer here, and let's say that I want to apply one of these presets to it, a special effect, right? Well, you can go over here to your effects and presets, and you can search here for certain presets and then just drag them onto that layer, but you don't really know what they do, right? But there is a way that you can preview the presets. What you do is you click on the layer that has the text on it, then you go up here to animation, and then you come down here to browse presets. Now, what will happen is it will launch Adobe Bridge, which is basically a file browser on steroids, right? It's a file browser that lets you do a lot of amazing things with just looking at files and organizing files and stuff. So what's going to happen is we click on Browse Presets, it opens Bridge, and it opens the folder that has all the presets in it. Now what you want to do is you want to go into the folder called Text, and you want to double click on it. And inside Text, there's more than a dozen folders that all have special effects that can be applied to text. So let's try this one, which is called Animate In, and that means you want to apply an effect to text which brings it onto the stage. We double click on that, and we have all of these special effects. Let me get a drink of water here. All right, now here's the cool thing. You click on any one of these effects, and over here it shows you a preview of the effect, which is so cool, right? Now, some of them that just have the white here, it doesn't seem like it's showing me the preview, but the ones where it has the black background, it's definitely showing me the preview. And you can see all the different effects, right? And all you have to do is apply these to the layer, and it will do the work for you. So, you know, if you're doing song lyrics and you want, you know, all of the lyrics of one line to just come in straight like that, you would use this effect. If you want something to type like a typewriter, you would use this effect, and so on and so forth. Now let's pick something like let's see. Let's just pick slow fade on. That's fine. Wait, what about the spinning one? Okay, I like the spinning one just because it's very graphic, right? Okay, now if you choose to search for your special effects presets in this way, which once again is animate and then browse presets, all you have to do is double click on a preset, and it will take that preset and go back into After Effects and apply it to the layer that you're on. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to double click on this preset. It takes me back to After Effects, and remember I had typed this quote, do unto others as you would have done unto you, right? And what's happened is it's applied that to it. So now I'm going to turn the sound off so we don't have to hear that sound again. But now when I hit the space bar, you see how all that text in the middle is spinning in? So that was the special effect, the prefab effect that it created on my text. Okay? Now once again, you just make a text layer, you go animation, browse presets, you look through the presets, and you double click on the one you want to apply, and it takes you back and applies that. Now of course I don't want this in this project here, so I'm going to click on this layer and simply hit my delete key, and it goes away. Now the last thing I'm going to show you today, and then I'll let you guys go, is how to render this file. To render the file, you simply, and rendering means exporting it as a movie file. You know, first of all, you might want to save the file, so you just do File, Save, and that'll save a master copy in After Effects. And then you simply go Composition, Add to Render Queue. When you add it to the render queue, that means that you're getting ready to export it as a movie file. Now, this is the render queue down here, and there's 3 settings that you can change, but 2 of them you're going to leave alone. Render settings, best settings, you're going to leave alone, and output module lossless means you want the best quality audio. The only thing you're going to change is this output to, and what you're going to do is you're going to click on the blue text here. And all you're going to change is the name of this thing and where you're going to save it. So I'm going to call this, like, you know, lesson, let's see, lesson 01 underscore finished. And of course I could go into my After Effects folder. I could go into lesson 01. I could go into finished projects, and I could save this as a rendered QuickTime movie file in this. If you're on a PC, it's probably going to save in AVI or an MP4, right? So I'll go ahead and hit the save button. Now what changes is just the location that I'm going to save to and the name, right? Now in order to render this, all I have to do is hit this little render button here. And what it does is a little blue thermometer-like thing starts coming across the screen. It plays the movie, and as it's playing it, it's rendering or digitizing all those files with all the special effects and all the sound and saving it all as a little MOV file. Now when it's done, you're going to hear a little bell sound like that, and then you can go preview the movie. And here it is. Let's see, inside my finished project folder. Ooh. It seems to have done all kinds of weird things inside my finished project folder. Let's see, let me try getting there again and see what happens. Because I can always re-render it, but I just want to show you the final version of it. So let's see, After Effects, Lesson 1, Finished Project, there it is. Okay, so now I just simply double click on this, and it's doing a little conversion here. And unfortunately, it's going to be that loud, funky music again, so I'm going to turn it down. But this is the finished file. Okay, and I have the audio turned off on that, so we're not hearing that. But there it is, and you can see it looks pretty good. And, you know, the special effect is down here. And like I said, I turned the audio off so we don't have to hear that. But, okay, so that's it. I just wanted to show you guys a couple different things. Today, what we did was we did Project 1, or I'm sorry, Chapter 1. And what you guys would do with Chapter 1 is you would do what the book says, then you would render the file, and then you would take that rendered movie file and you would upload it to your Google Drive folder that you shared with me. And then you're done with Chapter 1, right? So in this class, what you guys are doing as your homework is every week you're doing a chapter and then you're uploading it to the Google Drive folder. And then in addition to that, we're doing projects like this moving text project, which we're talking about in class, and you guys are working on that on your own too. Okay, so let me open you guys up again so I can see everybody. Okay, all right, cool. Now those are my demos that I wanted to do today. So any questions from you guys? Any comments? Anything you'd like to say?
I have a question. I did the United States flag with the John F.
Right.
Kennedy quote.
Right.
And I rendered it, but then I rendered it as a AVI in mine because I'm working with Windows, and it has a red like check mark when I render it, and sometimes like all my effects is not right there because long story short, I made it just one thing different, and then that one thing because I put 20% opacity, or like a 10% opacity on it over the United States flag. I had some military men outlined marching in the back, but that is front forward in the video, and the video doesn't play the sound and it doesn't play the moving text in it once I rendered. But if I play it inside the After Effects itself, it plays fine. You know what I'm doing wrong?
I'm sorry, what did you say?
I was wondering.
No, not you. I thought I heard somebody else say something. No? Okay. All right. So anyway, do you have a very powerful computer?
Yeah.
Okay.
I would think so. Yeah, 48 gigabyte RAM, i7
Okay.
processor.
Okay. It could have just been a random error. I wouldn't worry too much about it. What I would say is just go ahead and work on your own project, and then if the error comes up again, then we'll deal with it.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Rodney. Any other questions?
I have a question.
Yes.
Am I allowed to share a link for a PDF file for the book? It's through Iceland, so it gets around copyright. I don't know if I can share it or not.
Hmm.
It
uh,
includes the lesson.
well, what I would say to you is, I don't think that can be I don't think that can be shared officially in this PIMA class. You know, if you desire to share that with other students on your own, you can do that. But I think we might get in trouble if we shared it in the actual official class here.
Alrighty.
Okay, but thank you, I appreciate that. Okay, other questions or comments?
Yeah, I have a question. So each project that we do from the book will be due on like the following Monday. Is that how the schedule's going?
No, actually, um, all of the book chapters are due at the end of the semester. So if you're the kind of person that likes to wait until December 14th and then drink a case of Red Bull and do them all at once, you can, right? I
Greg,
hope
stop calling me out like this. Not everyone can know my secrets.
I knew it was you, Kim.
We all know it's me.
What I recommend to you guys is that you try to average about a chapter a week so that when we look at examples and stuff, you know, we can answer the questions as they go. If you wait, then it's going to hurt you in two ways. One, you're going to have a bunch of work to do at the end of the semester when everything else is due. And two, the book actually teaches you how to use the program. So if you're not doing the chapters every week, you're not learning how to use the program, and so you don't know how to do the projects. So the two kind of go hand in hand. So I would, you know, my suggestion to you is to do a chapter a week. Does that answer
Okay,
your
cool.
question?
I called dibs on the
Yes,
last
thank you.
question.
Okay. What's that, Kim?
I said I called dibs on the last question since class is almost over.
Okay, go ahead.
Because I have a friend who actually needs to record voice acting stuff for me. When is like the personal one that we're doing due?
Well, I haven't given you a deadline for that yet because what I do with the first project is I wait until everybody's got the book, has done the first chapter, and feels confident that they can pull off this first project before I give you a deadline. So the deadline could be a week or more away, could be 1 to 2 weeks away. I just have to check in with you guys, and of course we have this problem with the Adobe software. So
So
before I give you
essentially,
guys,
he doesn't need to panic and start recording stuff for me right away.
yeah. So
Okay,
before
awesome.
I give you guys a deadline, I want to make sure everybody's capable of finishing the project without pulling their hair out. So I'll give you a deadline, and it'll be ample time to finish.
Okay.
Okay.
Greg, can you hear me?
What's that?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Finally, I got the mic working at the
Right, in the last minute.
Yeah, last minute. All right.
Yay!
All right.
Okay. Good
For
job.
next time. All right. Thank you very much.
All right, guys. Have a great half a week, and I'll see you on Wednesday.
All right. You too. Thank you.
Bye now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Have a good one.
Okay, you too, Daniel.
Thank you.
Be blessed.
Bye, Rodney.
Goodbye. Have fun.
Bye, Miss Kim.
Guten Tag.
Okay. See you later. Bye, Laura.